Captain's Log, Supplemental. Commander Tor, our Chief Science Officer, has begun the installation of Starfleet's new LCARS computer system. Several crew members are still on board while we're at dock, and they've been testing the system's capabilities in a, let's say, unique fashion. They've invented a fun new drinking game that involves asking the computer questions, and if it can give you a cogent answer, you take a shot. The games are predictably getting quite short as the data load progresses, especially while playing with Lieutenant Briggs. They've banned Synthahol from any of their matches, claims it's only worth playing with the risk of real punishment on the line. On that note, I need to take a trip down to sickbay.
Hello and welcome to Captain's Log Supplemental. I am Chris. Today I'm joined, as every day, by Rob and Stanford. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Super great.
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a little bit of a hiatus for us.
Shh, they don't know that. This is just coming out right after the other ones.
Right.
Would you say that it's been a long road?
You know, getting from there to here? Yeah, absolutely.
I thought of the same joke when I was listening to the intro about 45 minutes ago.
So today we are going to dive into episode, I guess is it 8 or 9?
It's 9.
9.
Yeah, 9.
Civilization. We start the episode with a bridge crew meeting. T'Pol and what was it, Trip and was it Hoshi are going over kind of the different exploratory options with the captain, and they bury the lead. You know, they go, oh, here's this, burned out star, or here's this, boring moon. But hey, we found an M-class planet, guys. I'm sorry, Minshara-class planet.
So they were fucking with him, right? Like, that's what they were doing?
They were
100%.
definitely, yeah. And T'Pol was definitely in on it as well.
Right, but he made it seem like he was mad at her.
Well, I mean...
I don't think that's true. I think that he was like, what did he say? Like, you could have put that at the top of the list or something?
Next time, put that at the top of the list, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think this is a really good example of the Vulcan sense of humor. And I'd just like to say that I really appreciate how, passively antagonistic it can be.
Yeah. Yes, it's very dry. Very, very dry. So they venture to this planet, and they are looking and kind of trying to determine, where are these people at, because they don't want to contact them, the direct way if they're not advanced enough. So they use what is apparently the best camera ever from their ship.
That camera is so impressive. It actually changes angles when they zoom in all the way.
It's very impressive. Yeah, it's like the guy in, the crime drama shows, enhance. So they determine that they're, a pre-industrial civilization. They get a nice little picture of a sailboat sailing through the harbor. T'Pol is, of course, making the argument that they should not go down there because, that's kind of her job as foil in pretty much every episode at this point, to be the stick in the mud. And, of course, the humans are like, nah, let's do it. We'll just play dress up. It's fine.
And we're all like, T'Pol's not wrong again.
Yeah,
right?
No, 100%.
No. So this brings up one of my questions from the show, though. Was it ever explained in any other Star Trek series? I don't remember this in Next Generation or in the original series, which was where most of my view time is. Why is the quartermaster making their costumes?
Oh my God. That was my favorite part because so in Next Generation, they just had replicators do that shit. And actually later in Next Generation, there was just this idea that the transporter would just change their clothes while they were midstream because
fancy.
They'd be computer beam us down to the planet, mid 23rd century clothing or whatever was they said in First Contact. So that happened in Next Generation. I don't remember what happened in original series, but the fact that the Enterprise doesn't have this enterprise doesn't have advanced replicating technology. So there's just a quartermaster, and they go down to like, we need a ridiculous medieval outfit. And I have two headcanon ideas for how that worked, and both of which are equally hilarious. One is, with a roll of his eyes, he busts out just piles of fabric and starts sewing some.
Sure.
Or he goes, no problem, and opens just immense closet that's filled with every possible type of clothing.
Yeah, I liked Archer's tunic where like the sleeves were like laced on.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny. Like loosely, not like tightly, because, you know, sure.
The other thing I appreciated about the clothing in the show is that apparently on this planet, everybody dresses like there's some clandestine agent out to do no good. Like, why does everybody have a hood?
Hoods are in fashion, and whatever this planet was called. Did they name it? I don't even remember if they named this planet.
They named the people. They were the Uncali. I don't know if they actually named the planet. I don't know. I don't know a lot about historical fashion. I know hoods were pretty popular, like in the medieval era, because it was a cheap way to keep your head relatively dry and warm. But this was more like Renaissance. Like,
yeah, that sounds more correct,
time period. So I don't know how the Renaissance people were.
I would have expected it like if they were traveling, like it would have made sense for the guy who was, pretending to be the traitor, spoiler alert, to like have it. But like, I don't know, man. It felt weird that everybody wore them.
I don't know if it was like the 1920s where everyone had a hat all the time forever.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe.
So they start doing their homework on the civilization. Hoshi finds out they speak lots of different languages, and they try to narrow down, where they're going to land. About this time, we do get to see, I forgot, Phlox's very good practical effects talents in action. He's painting on some nice head ridges for everybody.
It's very skilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Star Trek, so only their forehead is different.
Sure, yes. I did have that thought. I'm like, so like, what else has ridges? They eventually determine that, or I forget who detects it, but they detect this, anomalous energy reading, almost like there's some type of antimatter reactor there, which is obviously far out of what they should be finding down there. So they decide to land in that area. What was initially going to be just Hoshi, for some reason, they decide to add old Captain, Trip, and T'Pol to the OA team. So they get down there and they're, pad footing about, trying to find whatever is causing this anomalous energy signature. And they find a few things of interest. They, Hoshi and I believe T'Pol notice that, there's people with weird lesions on their faces around, and that's kind of a foreshadowing of what's going on down there. And Captain and Trip, of course, the hoodlums up to no good, track down the actual energy signature at what appears to be a curio shop, and as their first action upon a new planet, decide to do a little B&E.
I am so happy with two things. One, that Tucker just knew the word curio shop just off the top of his fucking head.
Mm-hmm.
And two, that like the best they can do is I guess we'll just pick the lock real quick.
With fancy Star Trek, devices.
It's a laser lockpick.
Is that what it was supposedly doing? Like, I couldn't tell.
I think so, yeah. I don't know what it was how it was going to do that, but there was a light. That's all I know.
Yeah, man, listen, green light breaks locks open.
Yeah,
science.
Okay. Does the red light relock it?
That must be. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So they break into this shop, and they're snooping about, and they get to the back of the shop, and they find a door that's protected by a force field. At roughly this point, a hooded lady with the tiniest little hand crossbow.
The cutest little crossbow.
That was adorable. It was like
it's a Derringer crossbow.
Uh-huh. It's like, it'd be like a miniature person would hold that, and it would like mildly inconvenience you if you were breaking into a shop.
Yeah, the Jonathan Swift crossbow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she's trying to figure out who they are at about this time. T'Pol starts blasting and knocks her out. So, of course, on top of the beginning, we get to add a little bit of kidnapping to the list. And assault, I suppose, if you're counting the laser blast to the phaser blast to the back. We kind of transition to the next day, and she wakes up. Archer pretends to be a investigator from another city trying to figure out what's going on.
So this is the first moment where Archer was just like kind of icky. Like, first of all, he obviously did not prepare any kind of lie. So was he just like intently watching her sleep for 20 minutes? What was he doing?
Just waiting, watching and waiting.
And also, and this is kind of an aside on the whole episode, their universal translators are fucking on point all of a sudden. Where
Very
like
good.
Not even 2 or 3 episodes ago, like they were so bad that they had to like talk via text, like across spaceships.
See, Hoshi realized that all she had to do was reverse the polarity on them, and then it was fine.
But like, doesn't anyone notice that their mouths are moving weird, or that there's a little speaker? Like maybe they got earpieces or whatever, sure, but their mouths wouldn't match up with the sounds they were making.
Looks like a 1980s Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of one of the parts of Star Trek where we just kind of have to suspend disbelief to enjoy the episode. But yeah, no, it's true.
It's funny. Like, you're not wrong, Stanford. Like, it 100% was icky, but this was also the first time where like Archer and T'Pol had a disagreement about the plan moving forward. And I agreed with Archer's assessment of the situation for a change. Like T'Pol complaining about the potential for cultural contamination with them, specifically with Archer staying with Rian, was like, yes, but also we know that these people are in trouble, and there's clearly a non-local involved that, is probably worth investigating.
Right.
Yeah. So Archer and Rian kind of chit-chat back and forth while T'Pol does some secret science and measures a bunch of stuff, dipping little pH strips into stuff. And
she's the least surreptitious person I have ever
seen. We find out, people are getting sick, so obviously that's what those lesions were we saw earlier, but only in that city. And it all started kind of when this curio shop owner, Garros, I think it's Garros, right?
Garros or something
Garros,
like that.
Yeah. Showed up.
Yeah, and she has like a map, and it shows like all of the like people that are affected that she could find, and they're like clustered around the shop, and then they get weak, like, and then they fade out and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember this, because put a pin in this, because this is gonna become important later.
So Trip and Archer decided to kind of check out the shop again while it's open, as you might do, instead of just breaking and entering in the middle of the night. So, so Trip and Archer go back to the shop, posing as collectors this time, interested in the various curios in the storefront. The shopkeeper quickly is outed as an alien, like no time flat.
He looks like he's from the 70s too, with his hair. And he's got like an NPC line, when they come in, he's like, "Welcome to my shop. If I don't have it, I'm sure I could find someone to get it for you."
And he says it to the very next guy who comes in too, which I thought was funny.
Like, as soon as they're done with their conversation, he resets his NPC line and says it to the next person through the door.
But he claims that he was there on an exploratory mission, and he just liked the people so much he decided to stay. He fell in love with the planet. He just uses that antimatter reactor to make food and clothing, which everybody totally buys, and then the episode ends because everything's cool and hunky-dory. Right, guys?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's the end of the episode.
That's funny. No. I just watched it. I don't feel like that's right.
So, obviously, the humans aren't buying it, and they say, "Let me take a look back there," and he obviously says no and shoos them out of the shop. We've also learned at this point from Rian that Garrus' shop makes deliveries in the middle of the night, which is totally above board and not suspicious at all. So this point, we kind of cut back to the ship. Phlox is examining the results of all of T'Pol's very surreptitious testing of Rhiannon's lab, and they determined that there's a toxic industrial lubricant that's been contaminating the water around that city.
So, remember the cases on the map that are clustered just around that shop? That's not how groundwater works.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Like, groundwater would be the whole goddamn city.
Right.
Not just like the people around the shop. Radiation would have been a better thing to use because it would be much more severe near the shop and it would taper out very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it was like drawn from a well, that would have made more sense.
They showed a well because they were hiding behind it.
Oh man, I forget. Like one of the first studies in on a social scale of like disease and transmission, it was in London, and they tracked down, I can't remember the disease, but it was tracked down to like local wells, and they found out it was because like local industry was polluting the well water there.
I suppose it could be just, near to the entry point of the lubricant that might affect a certain well or something like that. That would make sense.
Phlox should know better. He knows what groundwater is.
Obviously, this guy's doing something that he shouldn't be. So Archer and Rhiannon decide to go on the stakeout to track the shipment that goes out in the middle of the night. At this point, we get to the universal trains that are not working appropriately because, we got to have an excuse for Archer to make out with an alien.
Yep, here comes the lack of consent, baby.
I'ma just kiss you randomly, but, she was into it. Not that she had a choice.
Like, this is the point where I was like, how did they decide to come down to this planet? Oh, that's right. They zoomed in so Archer could see if they were fuckable. Like,
this is actually
so bad.
This is related to my deep dive later. However, back to the summary.
Whoa.
So yeah, we get this nice little romantic scene between Archer and his unsuspecting victim. And finally, we see the cart guy, lugging these 3 very small cases into the middle of the forest, which, that's a very small shipment, but
it's valuable shit, man.
Yeah, sure. So they follow the cart guy, and he has some alien thing he pulls out of his pocket, starts talking in a different language that nobody understands. Archer and Rhiannon go and take a look at the cases just as they're about to crack them open. The gray men start to abduct a cow from a field. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. The alien ship starts to beam up the crates from the ground. So I want to point out here that later in this episode, we definitely confirmed that the aliens have transporter technology.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck are we bringing cases out into the middle of the field for some shuttle to tractor beam them up?
So,
why are we doing this?
Maybe I missed this, but do we know what the cases actually contained?
Yeah, it was some chemical that started with a V that was used. I think T'Pol said it's used in explosives.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that if it's a volatile explosive, like maybe transporting it doesn't work very great.
Okay, I'll buy that. So right after the crates zoom up into space, somebody starts taking pot shots at Archer and Rhiannon. Pew 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 pew.
Definitely a good thing to do around crates of explosives, though.
Yeah, 100%. Well, they were gone by that point, so everything's fine. So, Archer heroically tells her to stay here. Rhiannon to stay here and does his hero cap. It was a very Turkian fight, by the way.
She immediately does not, by the way.
I had in my notes, Rhiannon is bad at staying here. She does make a wonderful decoy, though, because he starts taking pot shots at her. And then, Archer drags him down to a classic Star Trek fight.
Which, Oh my god, this fucking fight. So he pulls them down and they're on the ground, and then Archer, as slow as possible, brings his phaser around so the other guy has time to kick it out of his hand.
Like I said, classic Star Trek fight.
I understand that we are doing choreography for fighting and we are apparently not very good at it, but try a little harder.
Well, you know what? The one thing this Star Trek fight was missing, right?
Two-hand punching.
Two-hand punching, baby. So yeah, we even get a nice little, like, Scooby-Doo unmasking the villain scene.
Oh shit, I didn't even think of that yet. Mayor Druthers
would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling humans. So Archer, our hero, of course, wins the fight. He steals the what apparently is a Tellarite? Is that what it was, right? Tellarite, I think they mentioned that. They take his little device and go back to the shop and deactivate
his garage door opener.
Yes, garage door opener. Yeah.
Which like Archer immediately understands how to function. He like taps 3 buttons in a sequence, and it opens the fucking door.
It's a universal garage door opener.
Sure,
it's universal.
Oh, he's got the same one back at his lodge.
He does.
Yeah.
So they're now down in the facility that the aliens have, and I guess it's some sort of mining facility, right?
I guess.
Yeah. They dug out a huge quarry. Like they could see it from that window when they looked through it.
Right.
Like past the reactor. Which that was a tiny reactor. Very efficient.
Very small. Yes. That's
he said he could make clothes for half the continent with that.
So Rhiannon and Archer find this console, and they're trying to puzzle it out. Oh, there's yellow dots and blue buttons, and what do you press to deactivate the barrier
What the fuck puzzle island bullshit was this?
Yeah,
dude, this whole sequence was dumb.
No, this was my favorite part of the whole episode because at one point Rhiannon turns to Archer and goes, "Can't you use your device?" It was like peak Star Trek. It was so good.
I think my favorite part is when Rhiannon makes a suggestion, but then Archer immediately mansplains to her. And then ignores her suggestion and then fucks it all up.
Yeah, as I say, he, blue buttons, yellow dot, Archer says, "I'm gonna press it," and he clearly chooses the wrong one. It is very clear immediately that he chose the wrong one. And, good on Rhiannon for not just shoving it into his face immediately. I'd have been like, fuck, told you!
Yeah, no. If I were Rhiannon, I'd be like, oh, is it supposed to do that? Is that the sound that shields make when they come down then?
I don't know. I'm just some backwards planet lady. I don't know.
Tee-hee. Excuse me, don't let me get my vagina all over your manliness here.
Well, I mean, I don't think Archer would really mind that.
Under his own conditions.
Back on the Enterprise, Garrus' ship is coming around the other side of the planet. Ships are always hiding on the other side of planets. It's a good thing to do. It's very sneaky.
Okay, so they were in a geosynchronous orbit away from the Enterprise, which I guess implies that the Enterprise was also in a geosynchronous orbit.
Sure.
Okay, fine.
Yep, have to be.
When the shuttle got there, did they not hey, what's that?
Nope. So Garrus' ship starts, firing on the Enterprise, and they very, maybe not politely ask them to leave, but they do give them the opportunity to head out, which is very nice of them.
I assumed he was lying. It was going to kill him because he told they're
yeah.
No, yeah, because I say Garrus makes some shit up and trying to stop Archer from fiddling with the controls because he was so successufful with it previously. He should be worried.
Garrus is like, can you stop fucking everything up?
Yeah, and he also lied to T'Pol. He told T'Pol that Archer had died, and then immediately goes and talks to Archer and says, "Hey, if you walk away, I'll let you live."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the implication was that they were letting the Enterprise go, but they were going to kill Archer.
Right. No, definitely. I just, they clearly could have blown up the Enterprise very easily.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if they were concerned about making, they didn't want snoops, right?
I suppose.
Yeah, I guess a giant spaceship careening down onto your planet is a little too perilous.
Oh, I meant snoops from other worlds. They didn't want Vulcan High Command coming down on them.
No. I wonder if they knew about Vulcan at that point.
So T'Pol, orders them to make ready to leave orbit, and Trip flips out and almost does a mutiny.
That's where she calls him Mr. Tucker, and it bothered me.
Yeah, Mr. Tucker.
His title is Commander.
Like they're an old nautical ship. Mr. Tucker. But T'Pol convinces T'Pol convinces Tucker that she's not actually leaving. She just wanted him to be ready to leave. Okay. He's going to need you to get all the way up off my back now.
All the way off my back. What the fuck, Tucker? Can you let her do her job? I also like the apparently now standing threat that Tucker can literally shut down the Enterprise at any moment.
Right, just call engineering.
Like unilaterally, yeah.
Oh, gosh. So I think I was distracted by something. I know Archer and Rhiannon escaped, but I don't remember seeing how they escaped from the facility.
They walk out the front door.
Yeah.
And then they're all of a sudden in an alley gunfight.
Okay, because I thought they were locked in. Like, what happened?
They locked Garros in the facility, but they were still able to escape through the shop.
Okay. Gotcha. So they walk out the front, and
they get the shield shut down, I'm pretty sure.
They do, yeah. I don't know how they managed that, but they figure it out.
And Garros didn't go ahead and hit the reactivation shield button on his way out.
Sure, that would have been easier.
Because he was up in the fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, because they go in the middle of a busy street, and some dude just starts firing at them, and everybody is very confused at the laser beams. So, meanwhile, the other ship is still threatening / attacking the Enterprise, and they come up with the because at this point they determined that their torpedoes are useless because the other ship has an energy shield, which is it happens a lot in this show.
Yeah,
our
they don't
weapons
have
are
one.
useless. Yeah. So they come up with the genius idea to beam the antimatter reactor from the planet into space and blow it up so it messes up the other ship, and it worked splendidly.
It's
clearly
funny
one
that
of the writers on this show spent way too much time playing first-person shooters, and they're like, "It's a red barrel. Throw it at him."
I don't think this is the last time that a warp core or a reactor is going to be beamed at a ship.
No, that happens multiple times throughout Star Trek.
I do appreciate that the Enterprise's transporter does not apparently have a site-to-site algorithm, because you have to beam it to your own pad and then beam it back out. You can't just take it from A to C. That
was fun.
Yeah. So they disable the enemy ship, and Rhiannon tells Archer to shoot the fiery or the lamp behind the dudes who were shooting at him, and they as the lamp explodes, the guys jump over the crate like it's an A-Team episode.
There was some quality acting.
Yeah, nobody ever gets shot in an A-Team episode. They all shoot at each other, but nobody actually gets shot. It was very similar fight scene. So Archer forces the goons to leave. The ship, retreats, and they give the aliens the medicine to help them recover from the poisoning from the lubricant. Everything is happy. And of course, Archer goes in for a goodbye snog.
Yeah, and I don't know it cut to credits, but I assume he was like, the Enterprise, I'm going to need 20 minutes here.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta enjoy the local delicacies, So that was our episode.
Snortle.
I enjoyed the episode overall, even though we had some bits we made fun of. I thought it was a fun episode. Probably,
I like this one.
So far, I've only liked the pregnant trip episode better, but
I think
overall, not too bad.
I think my general issue is just the dialogue has been so stilted, and I don't know. Oh God, I don't know.
Well,
I don't have a favorite episode. This is not it, though.
It's first season Star Trek, so all the inherent badness is definitely included. All right, well, next after this break, we will be going into our deep dive topic and having some fun. right, welcome back. Our topic for today's deep dive will be away teams in Star Trek. Specifically, their makeup, how they have changed kind of from series to series, who goes on them, who doesn't. And this episode kind of reminded me of kind of the differences as time has gone on Star Trek. We have the original series. Kirk is always leading the away missions, right? He's out there. He's always doing the things. We move on to kind of the next generation and onward. And Archer, a lot of times in Enterprise, is leading the away teams as well. But we move on to the next generation and onward, and that kind of stops. The captain stops going with the away teams. And we get more of, the commanding officer, Riker, or in Voyager, Chakotay. And I have theory as to it's not a good theory, but it is a theory.
Oh no! Now I'm invested. I was about to just be flippant, but you've got a theory.
Yeah. Flippant is coming. Don't worry. They determine who leads the away team by who has the best chance with the alien ladies on the planet. You have Kirk, who's the suave one. Archer. He does all right. He's very manly and hairy.
He is very hairy.
It's the chest hair.
Yeah. The ladies love the chest hair. Yeah, Riker, of course. He's hitting aliens left and right.
I believe he is the character that got the most action in that show.
Yeah. So I'm saying I think it's canon. Sexiest officer leads the away team.
I have to disagree for Voyager. And I don't know, like DS9 I guess didn't really have a away team.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just not count them. Because in Voyager, like Janeway didn't go. Chakotay also did not lead a lot of away missions. Voyager was kind of cool this way because like the away missions were always led by people who would make sense to lead away missions. For example, Tuvok led most of them because he's the fucking security officer.
Yeah.
Kim went on quite a few. Paris went on a couple. I know Kim got some action on an away mission where they were in this station.
He got in
but
trouble
I'm not
for
sure.
It too.
Yes, he did. But I'm not sure like how, I'm going to be honest, Voyager may have been a relatively chaste show as compared to the other ones.
I don't know about that.
There's like a couple sequences I remember, but I don't remember it being like a running thing that one character was just a womanizer the whole time.
I agree with you. I mean, Tom, though, seriously.
Tom,
it was kind of him.
Yeah, Tom got it. I don't know. Tom gave that because he was a pilot, right? So he's like a flyboy is the character they gave him.
Right, yeah.
But I don't remember him hooking up a lot.
Do we know what the crew complement is on this Enterprise?
Yes, we've actually discussed this in a previous episode, I believe.
Did we really? I do not remember, but I'm going to look it up right now.
And it is actually mentioned in the show. I don't remember the number, but it is actually stated in the show.
Yeah, like I remember with Next Generation, they specifically said that the complement was massive because the crew was allowed to bring their families because they knew they were going to be out for so long. But like, it makes me wonder, like maybe they just don't have a ton of people to send, and that's why Archer's going.
One thing I learned in doing the little bit of research for this piece is the term away team didn't actually come about until Next Generation.
Huh.
Interesting.
And in the writing for it, it was initially referred to as the mission away team, which is shortened to just away team because obviously that sounds dumb.
It's also worth noting with Strange New Worlds, they go back to that whole the captain needs the away team thing pretty frequently.
Yeah, because Captain Daddy can get him some, okay? This is just supporting my point.
Has that happened yet?
No, I think they just had him hooking up with that one like other officer lady.
No, didn't he hook up with on the planet they went to where like the kid was getting sacrificed?
Spoilers, Jesus.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did have a little thing there. That's true.
83. Okay. Oh God,
83.
for fuck's sake. Why is this? So this is one of those things where it's like, why is this canon? Enterprise NX-01 and NX-class starship had a standard complement of 83. Approximately 1/3 of the crew was female. First of all, why is that mentioned? Second of all, why is it not half? What the fuck is happening?
It seems odd that's
mentioned. It's such a specific thing to mention.
Is it like mentioned in one of the episodes? That doesn't stick in my head.
This is on Memory Alpha, which is usually pretty good about making sure that things that are in these articles are canon.
Well, this is also like a lot of this show was based off of like U.S. naval tradition, and I kind of wonder if they mentioned that because like weren't only certain ships in the U.S. Navy at that time co-ed?
Well, so yeah, in 2001, the military was like, I don't think women were allowed in combat yet because that didn't happen till later in the 2000s.
Like, were they even allowed on subs at that point?
Women were not allowed on subs at the time. Which is so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. I need it to be understood that is the dumbest thing that has ever been policy in the military. And this is coming from someone who is like a descendant of several Marines who all agree. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's like a weird restriction to put on yourself.
So Paul was right. Humans be fucking, man. You can't take chances.
I still remember, was it the first or second episode where she sits them down and goes, listen, we're hopping on a station. Everyone needs to behave themselves.
That's the pilot. That's the first episode.
That's like, end of the first episode, I think, like the first half of that first episode. And they're about to go down to that planet and immediately go to the alien strip club.
Yeah.
Which, like, knowing what I do about strip clubs, that's probably the safest place to go where you definitely won't be able to touch any ladies. Sorry, that was a tangent. What the fuck were we talking about?
Away teams. Hey, did you know there was a game called Star Trek Away Team?
Yes. Yeah. Wasn't it awful?
Yes, it was.
Was it a rails shooter?
I think it was. Like, a la Dark Forces, you mean?
It was a top-down...
Dark Forces was not a rails shooter. That was an open 2.5D shooter. You might be thinking of Rebel Assault, Rob. Those were...
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah. Yeah. The predecessors to... Yes.
According to this, it was a top-down isometric view.
Shit, like Fallout and stuff? Oh, man, is that game good? I bet
Prior to each mission, the player... I'm reading this off of Memory Alpha now. Prior to each mission, the player must choose an away team from a roster of crew members. Each branch being represented, command, operations, sciences... And, each had different strengths and weaknesses. So, yeah, you made your own team and everything. So, I don't think I ever played it, but it's like a lot of other Star Trek games. I don't know if I've ever played a good Star Trek games.
Birth of the Federation was a phenomenal game.
I've never heard of this.
Armada was really good.
Armada was
Star.
Yeah, I enjoyed Armada. That's true.
What was the Starfleet Academy? Starfleet Academy was really good.
I don't think I ever played that one.
I've never heard of that one.
That one, you got control of, I think you piloted one ship and you could have one or two ships like in your wing. And like you moved around a tactical map and then had real-time battles inside the ships. And like you had to like move the shields from fore to aft and, worry about weapon charges and timers. It was really fun. I would recommend it. Like I think I saw it got re-released a couple of years ago. I was honestly tempted to pick it up. I have good memories of that game.
Birth of the Federation was a Space 4X done by Microprose, the same people who did Master of Orion 2. It was like 2002-ish. It was a good game. It was like actually fairly well done, reasonably balanced. The lore didn't get in the way of the gameplay.
Cool. So
anyway, so this is now a deep dive about video games. We do need to talk. We do need to have probably a whole episode about just like Star Trek video games.
Right. So anyway, there's for away teams. They kind of evolved over time. The captain obviously going before, moving into not going later. And of course in original series we always had the trope of the red shirt guy dies first. Every time, within 10 minutes.
Usually during the cold open.
Yeah. He died
Yep.
a lot. So if you had the red shirt, you were not in good shape.
Marked for death.
Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to say, I am very much a proponent of the captain not going on away missions because, as I've said before, that's not the captain's job, and that's not where his skill set lies. The fact that Reed is never on any of these away missions, it's like, why do they even have a security officer?
Right. And actually, it's referenced in certain points of Star Trek that it's against Starfleet protocol for a captain to go. This was in Next Generation and on, but it's actually part of Starfleet protocol that I don't think it's not allowed, but it basically discourages captains.
It's frowned upon. Yeah.
Right, exactly, to go on away team. Also, there's references to, not sending only one person on away team, although Captain Picard does that on a couple occasions. Usually it is Data by himself because there's some dangerous condition or something that humans can't go into.
Sure.
So,
Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
I think Geordi went on an away mission once too because his visor allowed him to see something.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he slams the office chair like a little child. Fucking hell, that episode. I will say, I am surprised at how willing Archer is to just leave T'Pol in charge of the Enterprise because he does that a lot.
Sure. Well, she's his first officer, technically speaking, right?
I think she's the science officer.
No, wasn't it like a...
Does he have a first officer?
No, I think we discussed
some weird... Yeah, there was some weird pseudo...
She's
joint
subcommander.
Command.
Yeah.
Well, subcommander is her Vulcan rank.
Correct.
I don't
but
think
she also
that is
references
a position.
She references in this episode that she outranks him. Him being Trip in that argument, where Trip almost does a mutiny.
That's true.
Oh, I remember what her rank was. It's assistant to the regional manager.
Oh, she is... Wait. Oh, you know what? This is going to be a hark back to some earlier shit I said. She is the XO.
Interesting.
Okay. So she is also the science officer, but she is the XO. Okay. Interesting. So, but yes, subcommander is her Vulcan rank, as I understand it, or this says rank commander. I don't know if she got promoted at some point. Because subcommander is not a Starfleet rank.
Right.
Because Starfleet goes ensign, lieutenant, commander. I don't think there might even be a lieutenant commander, which is
how
the Navy works. But
yeah, there's lieutenant commander. I know at least in Discovery, it's there's 8 people who are lieutenant commanders on the bridge. So,
yeah, and that right there is something that my dad and I have remarked about, and how apparently Starfleet only has officers and then Chief O'Brien, the only warrant officer in Starfleet. There is not an enlisted person in Starfleet. I don't even know what an enlisted rank for Starfleet would be called.
Even
crewman,
in lower,
I guess.
Even in lower decks, I'm struggling to because even them, they're ensigns, right?
You're struggling to what?
Well, even in lower decks, there's no non-con
right.
non-coms. They're all ensigns. They're just lower rung officers.
Right. Apparently in the original series, there was also a warrant who ran the transporters. But that's it. Those are the only misters in all of Starfleet, and the rest are officers.
Yeah, because you go straight from cadet to ensign, don't you?
Which, that does make sense, because assuming the academy is an officer's program, it's like OCS, right? Officer Candidate School. Assuming you graduate OCS properly, you go straight to lieutenant. That's how it works. That's how an officer is made. You get your commission, you go to lieutenant. But there does not seem to be any kind of Starfleet basic training that would, a boot camp, that would take you to whatever their equivalent is for private, or in the Navy it's a seaman, or sailor? Seaman. Seaman is the rank. Starfleet has never, as far as I know, Starfleet has never had an enlisted section except the hinting at it because O'Brien and that one guy on TOS were warrant officers, and warrant officers are enlisted and then gain a commission later.
Don't they have like Marines for like intership combat?
Or planet combat.
There have been Marines. I don't know if they're...
O'Brien in particular, references in DS9 his history as like a, combat with Cardassians. So, I mean, that's definitely a thing that exists.
Yeah, maybe it's only the infantry that wind up in enlisted ranks.
Yeah, oh, wait, hold on. Well, I'm looking up the ranks in thing. There are crewmen. What is a crewman? Is that their enlisted rank? Oh, that's an enlisted rank.
Yeah, crewman. That's right. Crewman is referenced.
I don't think
a number of times.
I can't name a single crewman.
Like I remember it in Star Trek, but I couldn't, point to an example. But it does ring a bell. Right.
But there are only 3 ranks of enlisted, and then you go straight to officers. And of course, that's only in like the one show that they're talking about this, which was in Enterprise. Apparently, those exist. By the time you get to like TOS, TNG, and later, they don't even have lists for enlisted ranks at all, which is very funny to me.
Well, I think we've exhausted our. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was looking up on the wiki. There are crewmen in Voyager, Next Generation. Looks like Discovery. Like they've got a whole list of them. So they do exist, just not often.
I guess, like, do they never get a line? Because I don't think I've ever heard one mentioned. Like, maybe it was, like, mentioned, like, haphazardly, but I've never actually heard one say anything.
Well, in this particular case, I was looking up at Crewman Mitchell from Voyager, who had the line, "Captain on deck," when Janeway showed up at his job.
Crewman Mitchell. That's amazing. What a fantastic role. That man must really. Oh, it's that guy. I remember that guy.
So you remember Crewman Mitchell?
Yeah, because he's actually a person of color. Although Voyager was better about that.
Was
DS9 was not, by the way, and I think it was because they're like, well, we got a black guy in charge of the thing, so fuck it, we're good. Like, aside from the episodes where, oh my God, what is his name? Cisco, like, actually explores being black, like when he goes back in time or when he goes to Louisiana. Like, aside from those episodes, there's like no other characters of color.
Huh.
Worf, Cisco's kid.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant like outside of like the main crew, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, this was a fun discussion on away teams that devolved very quickly, but I think we've exhausted the topic. So after this break, Stanford is going to be doing a little fun potpourri for us.
All right, welcome back. Now, for this third section, we like to do a bit of a potpourri. It is always Star Trek adjacent, but it is my week to do so, and so therefore these two gentlemen are at my whim. So you can listen to me talk about something. So I will just say I promise this is Star Trek related, but it's not going to start there. Okay, so. Rob, you definitely know this because you've met them. Chris, I assume you know this fact about me, but I don't think you've actually met them. But I do have 2 siblings, both of which are much younger than I. My oldest sibling is 13 years younger than me.
Okay.
So I was living with my mom in DC. My parents split when I was like 9. And my dad remarried and they had a couple of kids. Whenever I visited my dad, I genuinely enjoyed being an older sibling. I loved hanging out with them and doing whatever they were doing. Usually this meant watching like kids TV. So I watched a fair share of like, Barney when they were really young. But as they got older, I watched, things like Phineas and Ferb and, some of the other Disney Channel shows.
Sure.
But when we were in the car, we would listen to music, and kids' music. Oh boy. Kids music. Well, so no, it's not. It's not always. kids music runs the gamut from obnoxious to extremely entertaining for like an adult also listening. Disney songs are usually a safe bet. Everyone can at least, kind of jam out to a Disney song. They know the words. It's very comfortable. Whereas, you can get some real stinkers out of like Kids Bop and
Kids Bop is terrible.
And sometimes as much as I may get hate over this, I find Raffi songs to be, they're for children. I don't like listening to them. I appreciate that they are for children. Like they are fine for children. They are not my favorite thing to listen to.
I've never heard a Raffi song.
You've never heard a Raffi song? What does what mean?
What does Raffi mean?
Holy shit. Well, that is not what we're talking about, but Raffi was like this like folk singer who sang children's music for like 30 years. He may still be alive. But like any kid song was probably a Raffi song at some point. He did the like I like to eat Eeples and Beninis song. I think he's Baby Beluga. But yeah, he did a lot of different songs. Anyways, that is not who we're talking about tonight. My family's favorite was Trout Fishing in America. Now, Trout Fishing America, good quality music. They actually had adult albums too, which were also funny. But they were just a good show. But in 2002, the year I moved in with my dad and that side of my family, one of the hottest kids music albums ever dropped. And that album was Philadelphia Chickens. Now, I'm assuming that neither of you have heard of Philadelphia Chickens, especially because neither of you have heard of Raffi.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
I have not, and I'm from near Philadelphia.
Both of you are.
Yes.
Created by children's book genius Sandra Boynton, who, Chris, I don't know if you know the name off the top of your head. I guarantee you have had a Sandra Boynton book in your house with your kids.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar. I've probably read a couple.
Philadelphia Chickens is presented as a musical variety show. There's a warm-up act that involves some singing cows. We get into a medley of songs about different topics sung by various animals. And actually, the reason it's called Philadelphia Chickens, Sandra Boynton grew up in Mount Airy, which, as you two know, is a section of Philly.
Sure.
Yep.
So, that brings us to the titular song, Philadelphia Chickens, which starts with, "Well, I'm coming from Connecticut on I-95, heading toward the sunset on the East River Drive. To the pretty little city on the Delaware, the Philadelphia Chickens are sure to be there." Okay? So it's like filled with Philly references. Great song. Classic song, fantastic album. Now, at this point, I'm sure you're both wondering why the fuck I'm talking about any of this.
Yep, I'm right there right now.
I am going to play for you a song from this album, and I need you to figure out the answer to that question. Why am I talking about this?
Okay.
There is one perfect place in the whole wide world where noses are crinkled and tails are curled, where squeals are happy and smiles are bright, and the wind is gentle.
Any guesses so far?
None whatsoever. What the fuck, man?
Rob?
Pigs in Space?
No.
I don't know, man.
This is sung by Scott Bakula.
Shut the front door.
Oh, man.
And now that I've told you that, just listen. That is him.
Yeah, that's him. Holy smokes, man.
So if you ever wanted to know what it sounds like when Scott Bakula whispers, "Oh yes," this song has just got you covered.
That's as weird as like the Leonard Nimoy Bilbo Baggins song.
Sure. And actually, so Scott Bakula's not even the first Starfleet captain to have a singing career. Will Shatner.
Oh yeah, I knew Shatner did. Yeah,
back in the day, but he also had an album in the early 2000s. Actually, we were in college when that album came out, so it would be after this album dropped. But he had like a whole album of music that was just not even related to Star Trek. Patrick Stewart has apparently sang some songs.
Yeah, I mean he's a theater guy, so that's not surprising.
Right. So yes, this is Scott Bakula. This album is actually full of celebrity artists. Celebrity Chickens, for example, the song that is the title of the album, is performed by a group called the Bacon Brothers. Does anyone know who those are?
Like Kevin Bacon?
Yes, Kevin Bacon and his brother Michael.
Yeah.
The album also has music, songs by Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline. So this album is a weirdly star-studded cast for some random kids album from 2002. Now, this album was released in 2002. Enterprise came out in 2001. So there is a good chance that Scott Bakula was simultaneously singing this song while captaining the NX-01.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Oh man, how did they not work that into the show? I'm disappointed.
I don't know. Yeah, especially since the whole thing's basically just an away mission. Goddamn. Oh, so the entire time we started, like when we were talking about doing this podcast and when we started it, I kept going like, Scott Bakula is the leader. I've got to bring this fucking song up. I have to. And this felt like the first time to actually like bring it up. And at the time, so I did see Enterprise when it aired. So back in 2001. But I also watched a lot of Quantum Leap when I was younger.
Oh yeah. I watched the shit out of some Quantum Leap.
Hell yes. Dr. Sam Beckett.
Oh yeah.
That came on like right when I got home from school. It was like catch the last like half an hour of Battlestar Galactica, the old one. And then Quantum Leap. This was like the Sci-Fi Channel in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was very familiar with Scott Bakula, and then Enterprise came out, and I'm like, it's Scott Bakula. And then this album came out, and I was listening to it with my siblings, and it was like, shit, does that say Scott Bakula on the back of the jewel case? And sure enough, fucking Scott Bakula, Pig Island.
Wow.
They play on the beaches, the color of peaches.
Pig Island, baby.
Pig Island.
That's a deep cut right there.
Oh yeah. If any of our listeners, I'll be generous to us, have children, Philadelphia Chickens is a phenomenal album. There's a book that goes along with it as well. I know that Amazon has just the music, but you could probably still pick up the book too. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And that's all I got. So that was my fun little thing I've been working on today instead of actually watching the episode.
Yeah. This I don't know if I'll be able to look at Scott Bakula the same after this.
Ooh, yes.
I mean, I already gave him some weird side eye for the entire run of this show, so
This is the song, having discovered it, that I wish we were one of those podcasts or like radio shows that had like a soundboard. Cause I would be using the Archer saying ooh yes sound all the time.
Ooh yes.
And then we could go find a shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, that's the quality soundbite right there.
Oh man. So anyways, that's all I got. I think that'll do us for the week. We will be back next week. We drop these episodes on Mondays. So next week will be episode 10 of Enterprise. And hopefully y'all have a good week between then. All right. Bye everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.